the first thing I want to talk about, and I imagine that you want to talk about too, is the World Heavyweight Championship picture on Raw. Now, this past week, there's quite a few moving parts when it goes into that storyline, because you have Seth, who's currently out. You know he's gonna insert himself once he comes back. You have Drew, who currently has #1 contendership, and he's going to face Damian in Glasgow next month, or this month rather. Then you have Gunther, who has the King of the Ring #1 contention for SummerSlam for whoever is the champion at that point in time to face them. And then you have Damian Priest, who's being booked as an afterthought, in my estimation. When was the last time he was the main event segment on any of these shows? He wasn't the main event segment at Backlash. And then you have the Saudi show. He didn't even have a match. And I don't know who Gunther's gonna beat, but I know that Damian is not making it out of this summer with that championship. And it's no fault of his own. I think he has all the tools it takes to be a champion, but it's just the segments that they put him are unfavorable when it comes to timing. Because like when he comes out, that's another thing that I saw with Bayley too. When they come out to the ring, or when I'll stick to Damian. When Damian comes out to the ring, he looks like a star. It's just that when you put him in the middle of the card, I understand when you want to make things interesting, keep engagement throughout the show, that's fine. But at the beginning of his reign, he needs to be, everything across the board needs to be presented as main event level, and that's not what's happening. I mean, the first week was he was backseat to King of the Ring, and this week was no exception. It was the cage match with Becky and Liv. I mean, in its own right, that was certainly a main event contender. It should have been in the main event this week, but the pattern that I'm seeing is that Damian is being relegated to lesser segments on the card. Not just sometimes the opening is fine because Roman used to do that too, but in general.
Right, because Damian's not really doing anything.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's not really doing. So he's not worthy of a main event spot at this point because he's not really doing anything. Literally.
What came first, the chicken or the egg? That's a problem? That's a problem with their own creation. He's not doing anything because.
But I don't know if you saw any reports, but Damian's actually has some input as far as in his creative process. I did see that. So he's part of that as far as the creative process. So I can't really say we putting it all on Triple H, but I don't think it's necessarily all on him that what's happening with the fact that he's falling by the wayside. But I don't disagree with what you're saying. How do you feel about the promo that happened with him and Gunther, and how do you feel like that is gonna end up exactly? Like the whole feud. I know you mentioned he's not gonna have the championship. You think he's gonna lose against Drew?
He's gonna lose to somebody. I mean, I think he will lose to Drew because if CM Punk interferes in that match, that Glasgow crowd, it's not gonna be like an ECW riot. If Cena wins, we riot. They're not gonna riot, but they're gonna boo the hell out of it. They're gonna be highly upset, and that would paint CM Punk as a heel. And WWE right now, they don't want CM Punk to be a heel. So I don't think. Let's say we bar them any interference from CM Punk in that match. I mean, what do you have? Do you have Judgment Day interfere and Damian snap on them again? I mean, they can't go to that well too many times without a payoff. If they interfere in this next match with Drew, that needs to be what causes the dissolution of the Judgment Day. Otherwise, I'm gonna have effectively lost patience for that storyline. It's like when your homeboy and his girl, they keep going back and forth with each other. After a while, it gets tiring.
I think that's part of the reason. I think that's part of the thing when it comes to this whole feud between these three guys. One, all three of these guys are heels.
Yes. Well, Damian's borderline, but yes, you're correct.
Pretty much a heel. He should be a babyface, but he wants to be a heel so bad. But all three of these guys are heel, so it really lessens the impact of this entire feud. And then you got Damian still being in Judgment Day, so it comes down to the point of what are we gonna do really with Damian? We can't really paint him to be this this hero type of champion because he's still basically with Judgment Day and still is a heel. So I do believe they should have broke up Judgment Day the last time that happened when he was championship, and maybe this feud going into with Gunther and Drew would have been more impactful. Otherwise, it's just a heel versus heel at Glasgow, and it's just kind of like
that's not bad. That in itself isn't bad.
Yeah, it's not bad, but if you continue with Gunther though, it's not going to be. It's not as impactful as just having a babyface and a heel, because two heels together is just okay. Who are we rooting for in this situation? The crowd is just going to be chanting, "You both suck." So,
I mean, but they're not none of these guys are necessarily getting booed. Everybody is liked to some degree. They're more nuanced characters. I think heel is a very archaic term when it comes to, like, in general. You could say that yes, these are heels, but even with Drew, he has nuance. There's conviction. He has been on a downward spiral through his torment of CM Punk, and I mean, he speaks about a lot of things that are true in storyline. And then you have Drew, he stands up against his teammates for interfering in his matches, and then Gunther, he just wins matches. He just beats you up. He's not doing anything quote unquote on paper that's like dastard. He's not Edge. He's not rated R superstar Edge. He is not John Bradshaw Layfield that beat Eddie Guerrero and was threatening to deport Mexicans at the border. He's not that. That's not Gunther. Gunther is a different kind of character.
Yeah.
So let me get back to your original question. How did I feel about the actual segment there? I thought that it served its purpose in presenting Damian as in the main event picture again. And he's interacting with people that aren't in the Judgment Day, which is good. And I did like the exchange where they had the compare and contrast between Gunther saying he didn't need any help, and he called Damian out for the shortcuts, but rightfully so, he said that this is just how the Money in the Bank contract works. And so both sides made extremely credible points. No one looked like a fool there. And then even though I believe Judgment Day came out to ringside, they didn't actually get involved. And then you also had Ludwig Kaiser on the outside, and he is maybe one of the best kept secrets on Raw, because it's just something about Ludwig. Do you remember when he beat up Kofi and he beat up Xavier Woods? Like when they okay. So he, after one of their matches or something like that, he put the guy's head or body parts in the steps, and then he ran around the ring and drop kicked the steps, and they were out for a few weeks. It's just he has like an unhinged side to him that I really like, and he has a lot of potential as a heel. I'm also critical of Imperium though, because when they broke them up, I know I'm kind of, as I'm thinking about things, we're going, but whatever. So Imperium, they kicked out the other member, who is Giovanni Vinci.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been seen since. So they drafted him to the other show. So that seemed not that well thought out. I would appreciate if they kept them together. That could have made for a more compelling storyline if you had a full 3-man Imperium facing a full Judgment Day. I think that would give Damian something to do and help put him in that picture, even going towards the SummerSlam match. You could do 6-man tag or some variation of that, as opposed to just at this point.
Even at that point though, you're skipping over Drew because you're focusing straight to Gunther.
I am.
And Damian's focused on Drew first, and you don't even know if Damian's going to even have the title by the time SummerSlam come over. So
I don't, but I know he's not going to have it at the end of SummerSlam. So that's the point. That's a problem with the whole storyline, is that the conclusion is foregone. We're just thinking of how they're going to get there, which, I mean, it's interesting, and that I actually care. And I say interesting in the true sense, like I actually want to watch this and see how they get from point A to point B, even though it's going to be very convoluted. But yeah, I don't.
My opinion of the actual segment was, I felt like I was like, Damian needs to focus on Drew first instead of worried about Gunther, unless he's going to win against Drew at the PLE. And it seems like the poster, I don't know if you've seen the poster that people were promoting about Damian versus Jay on the June for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I don't know if Drew commented on that or something like that. What the He's like, what is this? So I don't know if he knows he's just going to win or something like that. I don't know why they promoted that too, or how
they
real.
do stuff like that all the time.
Okay.
It's not the first time. So I mean, that's not a 100% giveaway that Damian's gonna win against Drew.
Okay, so they just did it like that. Why would they promote it like that then?
Sometimes these things get leaked.
Hmm.
I mean, I would imagine somebody would lose their job for that. But.
So it is certain that. So it seems certain that Damian's gonna win.
Look, when you purchase a ticket for a WWE event, have you ever been to a show? I think we talked about this before. I don't remember your answer.
I'm not.
On the ticket, when you purchase it, it says, do you know what it says?
What?
Card subject to change. And we talked about this before. I mean, it doesn't even have to be an injury. Somebody could catch a stomach virus and be out. That's happened. Not as recent now, but definitely in like.
But if something like that, something like that is being leaked beforehand, that only means that they know it's going to happen beforehand. Maybe they can change it, of course, but if that's leaked, then you know what's going to happen beforehand, though.
Oh, that could 100% be the current plan.
Yeah. So,
but once that leaks, it's like there's no telling. Are they going to stick with it? Or are they going
to? They could just change it and be like, oh no, we're not going to do that. Actually,
I mean, look, the biggest storyline of the year in which Cody usurped Roman for the championship. That was improv. That wasn't the plan.
Yeah.
Well, it was the plan, then it wasn't the plan, then it was the plan, you know?
Yeah, everything isn't always set in concrete. Like, it really it depends on fan reaction too, so it really just depends. But yeah. What do you think? So I think I really asked you as far as your prediction of how you think this is going to end. We both think that Gunther's going to have it by the end of SummerSlam, the championship.
He will.
When do you think Judgment Day and Damian will actually split? Like, when will this happen? Because there's a whole bunch of parts within.
He has a short span. Like, if it doesn't happen at Clash of the Castle or as a consequence of Clash of the Castle, I don't know when it's going to happen. Because if they do the split when he doesn't have the championship, no one's going to care anymore.
That's
not as much.
Yeah. Yeah. They should have some type of playoff, like him losing it causes a split, or him splitting causes him to lose it, or something like that, because he didn't have help like he usually does, or something like that. I don't know. I
just wish the King of the Ring, when they got the title shot, it wasn't at SummerSlam right away. Maybe if they put the tournament a little bit later. This was great to keep us invested in the post-WrestleMania period, where there's typically a lull from creative and just fan interest in general. So, I mean, I understand they did what they had to do, and they did a damn good job. But now we have a condensed timeline. We knew that Gunther was going to be in the World Heavyweight Championship picture at some point, and it's almost he's almost a shoo-in for winning it. In fact, he is. He is going to win. But now Damian is on borrowed time. It's not there's it lost the storyline lost the unpredictability.
I actually think the worst case scenario with this entire thing is Damian keeping the championship while beating Drew at Glasgow.
So him beating Drew and Gunther?
Yeah, that too, but mainly beating Drew and still having the championship, because I feel Damian is just. It's not that he's in a good championship. It's just he isn't a good champion. It's just that they haven't really done anything with him, and I think him being in Judgment Day is kind of holding him back to some degree. So either they're gonna set him loose and actually have him become a really good heel, or set him loose and actually become a really good babyface. But it'll be very interesting to see what they're going to actually do with Damian, though. But I think the worst case scenario is Damian keeping his championship and him still being kind of coming out in the beginning of the show and kind of giving orders, not really doing anything for the main event. I remember when he had a match against Rey Mysterio. I think he has a match against Rey on the next Raw, and I was like, finally, Damian got a damn match. Like,
yes,
like, goodness gracious, he does not wrestle anymore. Like, come on,
his
like
boots have dust on them.
He just does not. Goodness, I don't know what it is about being champion. Just like, oh, we don't have to wrestle anymore. We're good. Like,
I swear.